Welcome to Mind Set in Stone podcasts, where we dive deep into the most compelling books on the shelf. Join hosts Dave and Poppy as they uncover the stories, themes, and ideas that shape our understanding and inspire curiosity. Get ready to explore the big ideas that leave a lasting impact. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack complex topics, drawing from key sources to get you quickly up to speed, maybe add a few new insights, and hopefully have a bit of fun too.
And today, we're getting into Gabrielle Bernstein's Super Attractor. It's all about manifesting what you want in life.
Right, creating a more fulfilling life by, consciously working with your energy in the universe.
The core concept is pretty fascinating. This idea that there's an invisible power all around us. And crucially, we can actually learn how to tap into it to achieve our goals.
So our goal here is to pull out the really practical advice from Bernstein's work, give you some actual strategies to maybe stress less and let success find its way to you more easily.
Exactly. We want to make it actionable.
Okay, so we'll focus on three main things she covers. First, there's this three-step method she offers for when your energy feels, out of whack. How to realign quickly.
Very useful.
Second, learning how to actually see the signs the universe might be sending. They can be subtle, right?
Oh, definitely. Easy to miss if you're not looking.
And third, the power of using just a short mantra. How that can actually shift your whole perspective on things.
It sounds simple, but the impact can be huge.
All right, let's jump in. First up, the power of our thoughts and the energy they carry.
Yeah, this is foundational. The idea is that our thoughts aren't just like random noise in our heads.
Right.
A Course in Miracles, which she draws on heavily, talks about how there are basically no idle thoughts. Every single one sends a message out, an energetic message.
And the universe, it responds to that energy. Is that the idea?
Yeah, it's the core of it.
Yeah.
It tends to return the dominant energy you're putting out. So if you're consistently in a pattern of, say, negative fear-based thinking,
You might accidentally attract more of that negativity.
you could, yeah. It creates a kind of loop.
Bernstein talks about this happening to her, right? When she was launching Judgment Detox.
Exactly. She got caught in the spiral of negative self-talk, feeling like everything was on her shoulders, all the pressure.
And what happened? Did things go wrong?
She ended up taking on way too much, not asking for help, basically living out that stressful energy.
So how did she break it?
By consciously shifting her thoughts, making an effort to focus on positivity, on trust. And that's what broke the cycle. It really highlights how much influence we have.
It shows we have agency. Recognizing that link between thoughts and energy, that seems like the first big step.
Absolutely. And that brings us nicely to her Choose Again method. It's a really practical three-step technique you can use right in the moment to shift your energy.
Okay, let's break that down. Step one.
Step one is just noticing. Noticing how you feel right now. Just asking yourself, okay, how do I actually feel?
Taking a moment to identify the emotion. Anxiety, frustration, whatever it is.
Right. Because those feelings, they're like the direct signals of the energy frequency you're currently broadcasting. It's about awareness first.
Okay. Then step two sounds a bit weird. Forgive your thoughts.
Yeah, it can seem counterintuitive, but it's about acknowledging that even negative thoughts have a function. They often point to what you don't want.
Information.
Exactly. So Bernstein uses the example of worrying about money. That worry highlights a concern about financial security. So you notice the thought, you acknowledge it, and maybe even thank it for showing you what you're concerned about, but without judging yourself for having the thought.
So the thought isn't bad, it's just data.
Precisely. And then comes step three, the crucial part. Choose again.
This is where you actively shift.
Yes. You intentionally turn your focus. You ask the universe or your higher self, whatever works for you, for guidance towards better feeling thoughts, towards solutions.
So back to the money example, instead of just looping on the worry.
You actively open yourself up. You ask, okay, show me a more joyful way to think about this, or guide me towards positive financial solutions.
Got it. And it's important, she says, that this isn't about just plastering over problems, right? It's not toxic positivity.
No, not at all. Being a super attractor isn't about ignoring reality. It's about consciously choosing where you put your energetic focus on attracting solutions and opportunities, rather than getting stuck ruminating on the problem itself.
That's a key distinction, which
Yeah.
leads us naturally into the next big idea, the importance of just feeling good.
Right. And this sounds almost too simple sometimes, doesn't it? Just feel good.
Yeah, like, okay, sure, I'll just feel good. But there's depth to it. Deepak Chopra's insight comes to mind here.
Oh, about tying happiness to external things.
Exactly. If your happiness depends on something outside of you, a job or relationship, whatever, it's inherently unstable because those things can change.
So the idea is that feeling good should be more of our natural state, not something we only get as a reward.
That's the goal, yeah. It really challenges that common belief, that sort of cultural script that says happiness has to be earned.
Right, like you have to suffer first or work really hard to deserve feeling good.
We're often conditioned that way, aren't we? Bernstein really pushes back on that. She suggests that good things can come easily and that we actually deserve to feel good, period.
Okay, so how do we actually cultivate that if we're used to feeling stressed or anxious?
Well, she offers proactive strategies, ways to consciously open up to what she calls the universal energy of love and, intentionally practice feeling good.
Like the think it to feel it method.
Exactly, that's a big one. The idea is you deliberately recall a time in the past when you genuinely felt the emotion you want to feel now.
So if I want to feel more secure,
You'd actively bring to mind a memory where you felt totally safe, grounded, supported. Really try to re-experience that feeling in your body now.
letting the past feeling influence the present state. Interesting.
And another tool she emphasizes is using affirmations, specifically through mantras.
Right. Choosing a clear, positive statement.
Yeah, something like, I am safe and supported, or I respect my body, whatever resonates. And she suggests actually writing it down.
Makes it more tangible.
Definitely. And then saying it out loud, especially when those negative thoughts start creeping in.
And it's not just about repeating the words, is it? It's about feeling it.
That's key. She links this with meditation and journaling. Taking time to write the mantra, then sit quietly, focusing on breathing in that positive feeling, really embodying it.
So it becomes a deliberate practice, not just wishful thinking.
Exactly. It's about making feeling good a habit. And she notes that this often means actively working on breaking other habits.
Like jealousy.
Which actually ties into the next point about overcoming fear.
Yeah, that common question she gets, who am I to do this?
Right. It sounds humble, maybe, but she traces it back to fear.
A fear of not being good enough, or not having the right skills, or enough resources.
All of that. Or the feeling that other people are somehow more deserving, more capable. It's a lack mindset.
And that fear, whether it shows up as jealousy, comparing yourself, feeling inadequate, it literally lowers your energetic vibration.
Drains your energy and stops you from attracting what you actually want.
Exactly. So the antidote is consciously shifting from that fear place to a mindset of abundance. And she gives practical ways to do that.
Like being protective of your desires. What does that mean?
It means setting some loving boundaries around who you share your dreams with and when.
So not necessarily telling everyone your big goals right away.
Especially not people you know tend to be pessimistic or who might pour cold water on your idea before it's really taken root.
Okay. Like if you're hoping for a new relationship, maybe don't spend hours rehashing past dating disasters with your most cynical friend.
Probably a good idea, yeah. Protect that fragile energy of hope.
Makes sense. And the second strategy, giving back and celebrating others.
Yes. This is about moving away from that feeling of scarcity, that idea that there's not enough to go around.
Embracing interconnectedness instead.
Exactly. When you can genuinely feel happy for someone else's success, it actually boosts your own positive energy.
So instead of feeling jealous when a friend gets engaged or lands a great job,
You consciously choose to share in their joy. You celebrate with them, and that positive energy kind of boomerangs back to you.
it's based on the idea that the universe has enough success for everyone. It's not a competition.
Life isn't a zero-sum game, which is a much more empowering way to live.
Definitely. Now, to help navigate all these different feelings, she brings in another concept.
The emotional guidance scale from Abraham Hicks.
Right, can you explain that briefly?
Sure. It basically maps out emotions on a spectrum. At the bottom, you have low vibration feelings like fear, grief, powerlessness. At the top, high vibration feelings like joy, love, passion, appreciation.
And the key insight is,
That you can consciously move up the scale. Even small steps make a difference. You don't have to leap from despair to bliss overnight,
so if you're feeling, say, jealous scrolling through social media,
which is pretty low on the scale.
right, instead of staying there, you could try to shift to something slightly less negative, maybe just boredom or even just neutrality.
Exactly. It's about climbing the ladder, step by step. Maybe from jealousy, you move to acknowledging it, then maybe to focusing on something neutral, then maybe finding something small in your own life to feel okay about, that may be helpful.
It's the direction that matters, moving upwards even slowly.
Precisely. And a really powerful way to consistently stay higher up that scale is actively cultivating joy.
Finding joy in everyday life.
Yes. Joy is a high vibration state, so the more you can access it, the more you align your energy with attracting good things.
And how do we find more joy, practically speaking?
It often starts with appreciating the small things, the simple pleasures. A good conversation, a walk outside, listening to music you love.
Things we might normally overlook.
Definitely. Bernstein shares how she found joy in cooking just for herself. And that simple act led her to start an online cooking show, which then created new connections and opportunities. It wasn't planned. It just flowed from following the joy.
That's a great example. Follow the fun, basically.
And when you find that joy, let it expand. Let it take over. That high vibration energy is infectious. She uses the analogy of always carrying a flashlight.
Your positive energy lights up your path and affects others too, and attracts more light.
Exactly. It helps the universe bring you more of what feels good. Now, taking this even deeper, Bernstein talks about lifting the veil.
Okay, lifting the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds.
Yeah. She observes how kids often have this natural connection, this ability to see beyond just the material stuff. Imagination, belief in magic, whatever you call it.
But as adults, we tend to build up walls. We separate ourselves.
We often do. We rely so much on the five senses, on logic. And Bernstein suggests that to really step into our power as super attractors, we need to consciously thin that veil again.
Why do we build that wall in the first place?
Well, connecting back to A Course in Miracles, there's this concept of the tiny mad idea, the belief that we're somehow separate from the universe, from source, from love.
And life's hardships can reinforce that feeling.
They can. Trauma, fear, judgment, they can make us feel isolated, cut off. And when we feel cut off from that spiritual connection, Bernstein says we're cutting ourselves off from our true source of power, from that universal energy and love.
So lifting the veil means reconnecting, remembering we're more than just physical beings.
Recognizing, as she puts it, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. It takes a shift in perception, a willingness to believe in something beyond what we can physically see and touch.
It requires some faith.
It does. Understanding that our true self isn't just our job title or our bank balance or our body. It's something much bigger.
So how do we do that? How do we actually lift this veil?
She offers practices. One is consciously choosing to see in the light, making a deliberate effort to look past the negativity, the darkness that can seem so prevalent sometimes, not getting totally sucked into negative thought loops.
Actively looking for the good, appreciating small things, again, maybe helping others.
Yes, acknowledging the love and support that is actually around us, even in small ways. And another really powerful tool she recommends is meditation.
To quiet the mind.
Exactly, to quiet the ego mind, the constant chatter.
Yeah.
She has free guided meditations on her site, which can be really helpful for beginners. It helps release those negative energies that keep the veil thick.
And journaling afterwards can help process things.
She recommends that too, yeah. Jotting down any feelings or insights that come up during meditation.
And the idea is to carry that feeling of connection, that lighter energy, into your day.
Right. So when challenges pop up, you remember there's this bigger perspective, this power beyond the immediate problem. You allow that higher wisdom in.
Which leads into listening to spiritual guides.
Exactly. She talks about these as compassionate, non-physical helpers. Beings who are available to help us get back into alignment with that universal love and energy, especially when we're going through tough times.
Like breakups, losses, setbacks, the hard stuff.
And she shares a very powerful personal story about this.
Her addiction.
When she was really struggling, deep in addiction, feeling completely hopeless, she prayed. She asked for a miracle.
And she received guidance.
She describes it as this undeniable inner knowing, a clear voice saying, "Get clean, and you will live a life beyond your wildest dreams." That was the turning point. She sees that as direct spiritual guidance.
That's powerful. And these guides, they can show up in different ways.
Definitely. It might feel like your own intuition, that inner voice, or a sense of connection to a higher power. Some people resonate with the idea of angels or archangels.
Like Raphael for healing, Jophiel for creativity.
Right, those traditional associations. Or sometimes, she suggests, it can even be departed loved ones who act as guides. She talks about her own guide, Lauren.
So the form isn't the most important thing.
No, the key is being open to receiving that guidance and actively inviting it in.
Through meditation again, or journaling.
Those are great ways, yeah. Quieting the mind and just stating your intention, asking for support.
Okay, so we connect with guides. But then there's another layer. surrendering control.
Yes, this is huge. Bernstein makes the point that even the most spiritually connected people can fall into the trap of trying to micromanage everything themselves.
Trying to force outcomes.
Exactly. But true super attractors know when it's time to let go, to trust, and let the universe handle the details.
She tells a story about speaking at Oprah's event, right? Feeling really anxious.
Yeah, the Super Soul session. And she was feeling incredibly nervous beforehand.
So what does she do? Just push through?
No, instead of just white-knuckling it, she consciously called on the energy of Wayne Dyer, the spiritual teacher who had recently passed away. She asked for his support and wisdom.
And that helped her let go of some of the pressure.
It did. By acknowledging she didn't have to do it all alone, by inviting that support, she could deliver her talk with more ease, more flow.
That's a great illustration, because trying to control everything, it's exhausting.
It leads to fear, stress, burnout. But when you accept that life is a collaboration, that you can ask for help from the universe or your guides, it's incredibly freeing.
It's like remembering you have backup. You don't have to rely solely on your own limited energy.
Exactly. Each day is a co-creation. So how do you actively connect with a guide like that?
She suggests focusing on a guide that feels right to you. It could be an angel, a figure, even just a feeling of loving presence.
And then?
Then you consciously call on their support through meditation, prayer. She gives an example prayer like, "Thank you, guide of the highest truth and compassion, for making your presence known." Basically inviting them in.
And you might feel different energies with different guides.
Yeah, she says different guides might have different vibrations. One might feel calming, another more dynamic. The advice is just to go with what feels right. Trust that intuitive sense.
And this connection can lead to new ideas, different perspectives you wouldn't have thought of on your own.
Absolutely. Solutions can pop up, insights arrive. It connects back to that powerful line from A Course in Miracles, "There is nothing my holiness cannot do." Accessing that higher power unlocks potential.
Okay, so with that connection established, how do we translate this into actually manifesting things? She has a method for that too, right?
Yes, the spiritually aligned action method. And she uses her own story about wanting to be in the New York Times Sunday Style section early in her career.
Did she just pitch them constantly?
No, interestingly, she worked consistently on her business, putting out valuable content, doing her thing with joy for about 9 months. And then the opportunity came to her without her having to force it.
So the action was important, but the alignment was key.
Exactly. And the method has 4 steps. Step 1, make sure your desire comes from inspiration and service.
Not just ego or fear. It should genuinely light you up and ideally help others in some way too.
Right. Step 2, believe the universe will deliver. Really cultivate that faith, that confidence, maybe state your desire clearly, ask for it to be delivered.
Okay, step 3.
Take action, but from that place of spiritual alignment. Work toward your goal, yes, but do it with joy, without getting stressed about the outcome or what others think.
Inspired action, not desperate action.
Good way to put it. And finally, step 4, patience. Trust the timing. But it's about allowing the universe the time and space it needs to line things up, gather the resources, create the synchronicities.
And when you're really nailing this method, she says it should feel fun, effortless.
Relatively effortless, yeah. Maybe not no effort, but it shouldn't feel like a constant struggle or grind. That ease is a sign you're in the flow.
That makes sense. Now, another really big piece of this puzzle is appreciation.
Such a powerful energy. She talks about her relationship with her project manager, Jessica.
And how their mutual appreciation helped both of them.
Exactly. They consistently acknowledged and valued each other's contributions, and that positive energy feedback loop helped them both manifest their dreams. It supercharges your abilities.
How does appreciation work energetically?
Well, appreciation is a very high vibration emotion, right up there with love and joy on that scale we talked about. When you're genuinely appreciating what you have.
Both the good stuff and maybe even the lessons from the hard stuff.
Yes. It keeps your overall energy frequency high and positive. And since like attracts like,
you naturally draw in more things to appreciate, more of what you desire.
Precisely. She tells another story about a friend, Alex, who made a business mistake he really regretted.
He was stuck in negative energy about it.
Totally. Beating himself up. But when he consciously shifted to appreciating the lessons he learned from that mistake, what it taught him.
The negative energy shifted.
Completely. It allowed him to release the regret and move forward with clarity. So the practical takeaway is focus on what's going right, even if one area of life feels tough.
Exactly. Find things to appreciate. Your health, a supportive friend, a sunny day, your own resilience. anything. Let that feeling of gratitude be your anchor.
I make it a regular habit.
Definitely. She recommends, again, drawing from Abraham Hicks, maybe starting your day by writing down a few things you appreciate.
Just simple list.
Simple but powerful. And don't just keep it internal. Tell people you appreciate them. Share that positive energy. It creates this beautiful upward spiral.
Okay, so appreciation keeps the energy high. But what about when things just aren't happening, but the desire isn't manifesting?
Ah, yes. This brings us back to patience and trust.
Yeah.
And Bernstein gets very personal here, sharing her 3-year fertility journey.
That must have been incredibly challenging.
Immensely. And it taught her a crucial lesson. Sometimes you just have to let the universe catch up with your dreams.
What was she doing initially? Trying to control it?
Oh, yeah. She admits she was tracking everything, planning meticulously, trying to force it to happen on her schedule. Very understandable, but ultimately stressful and counterproductive.
So what changed?
She eventually had to consciously relax her grip, to cultivate real faith, let go of the outcome, and trust the universe's timing. And it was only after she reached that place of surrender and saw some positive signs she interpreted from the universe.
The wild turkeys.
The wild turkeys, yes. Only then did she conceive.
It really underscores this idea of the pathway to faith. What does that involve?
It fundamentally requires giving up the need for things to happen on our timeline, releasing that attachment to a specific schedule.
Easier said than done. How do you practice that surrender?
Well, first, get really clear on your intentions. Use prayer, meditation, whatever works, to ask the universe for direction, for guidance, for clarity.
Okay, be clear on what you're asking for, then.
Then, be open to noticing the signs. Be receptive. They can come in so many forms, repeating numbers, symbols like butterflies, feathers, flashes of light, even unexpected wisdom from a child.
You have to be looking, be aware.
You do. And finally, practice patience. Keep taking that spiritually aligned action, but without getting discouraged. If things don't show up instantly, trust the process. Trust the timing.
Trust that you're co-creating and it will unfold when it's meant to.
Exactly. It's all part of the energetic dance.
Okay, so let's say you're doing all this, you're patient, you're appreciating, and then things do start happening, your dreams start coming true. What about that feeling of, is this real? Is this too good to be true?
Yes. The disbelief when things actually work out. Bernstein addresses this directly.
She experienced it herself during her pregnancy.
Yeah, she was in her 3rd trimester, feeling great, and then a friend made some casual, maybe slightly fear-based comment, and it sent her into a total fear spiral, doubting everything.
So how did she handle that?
She used a simple but powerful mantra. I choose love instead. Just repeating that phrase helped her consciously pivot away from the fear and back towards trust and love.
That's a great tool. So if we find ourselves feeling that too good to be true wobble, what can we do?
First, just accept that a little bit of fear or disbelief might be normal when big positive shifts happen. Don't judge yourself for it.
Okay, normalize it.
Then, use that choose again method we talked about earlier. Notice the fear, forgive the thought, and consciously choose to focus on the positive reality. Choose love, choose trust.
Redirect the energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about actively nurturing the positive flow. Don't let the fear derail you. Accept the happiness, welcome it, and look forward to more. Remember, it's good to feel good.
You deserve it.
You absolutely do. And to help maintain this positive state daily, she suggests the daily design method.
Starting the morning with intention.
Right. Asking yourself 3 simple questions each morning. How do I want to feel today? Who do I want to be today? And what do I want to give today?
Setting your energetic blueprint for the day?
Beautifully put. It sets a powerful intention. Because ultimately, Bernstein says, every single day we face a choice.
Between fear and love, ego and grace.
Essentially, yes. Between the limitations of ego, fear, despair, and the expansive possibilities of love, joy, and grace. And by committing, really committing to being a super attractor, choosing love more often than not.
You really can manifest the life you dream of.
That's the promise. It becomes not just possible, but probable, attainable.
Wow. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Our deep dive into being a super attractor really shows it's all about consciously managing your energy, doesn't it?
Fundamentally, yes. Aligning yourself with those positive, high-vibration energies of the universe, love, joy, appreciation, faith.
And it means actively choosing to leave behind the things that block that flow, like Fear, comparison, ego, trying to control everything.
Right. It's shifting from trying to force things happen alone to collaborating with the universe. That's when you start attracting what you desire more naturally.
And the most empowering takeaway, perhaps, is that the one thing you can always control is your own energy output.
That's your point of power. When those negative thoughts or old patterns inevitably surface,
You notice them, you acknowledge them without judgment,
forgive yourself for the momentary wobble.
and then consciously, intentionally, choose again. Redirect your focus towards a better feeling, a brighter future.
It's a constant practice, but a worthwhile one.
Absolutely. And if listeners want to explore this further, you mentioned Gabrielle Bernstein often points people towards Oprah Winfrey's book.
Yes, The Path Made Clear. It apparently explores many similar themes around purpose, alignment, and living a meaningful life. A good next step, perhaps.
Sounds like a great companion piece. So that leaves us with a final thought for everyone listening.
A question to ponder, really.
Take a moment and honestly check in. What's the general state of your energy right now? What's your dominant vibration?
And then consider, what might happen if you consciously started applying even one or two of these super attractor principles? How could deliberately shifting your energy, even slightly, change your life and your ability to attract what truly matters to you?
It's definitely something powerful to think about.
We hope you're leaving with fresh insights and a spark of inspiration. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and check back for more episodes as we dive into new worlds of thought, one book at a time. Until then, keep your mind set in stone and your curiosity open. This has been a Big L Riz Media podcast, where big ideas meet lasting impressions.